A common cue I use a lot is called a rib hip connection. So when I'm standing, I want to make sure my rib cage is down. So I don't want to be flared out with my ribs and sticking my butt back. I want to think rib cage down, hips meet my ribs. So now I've got light active engagement in my abdominals. I'm just have a light contraction on my glutes to make that happen. Slight tailbone tuck. You don't want to tuck completely under, but you don't want to stick it all the way out. So you want to find that happy medium. So here's my rib cage and my hips connected. This is what I would call a standing plank. So in a standing plank, I'm thinking drive my feet down into the floor, squeeze my quads, squeeze my glutes, ribs, hips connected, shoulders packed down. In tall kneeling, I want the same thing. This time I'm pressing the tops of my feet into the floor. So squeezing my glutes, bringing my hips to my ribs down to my hips. Now I'm connected. So here we'll do things like halos, making sure that you keep that rib hip connection the whole time. In all fours, my hands are directly under my shoulders. My shoulders are away from my ears. I want to think about spiraling my hands into the floor so that my elbow pits point forward. You're going to feel your lats activate, lats pack down. From here, I don't want to sway back. I'm going to make that rib hip connection. Kick one foot back, squeeze that glute, squeeze that quad. Again, recreate that rib hip connection. Then kick your other foot back, ribs, hips. So I don't want to be here. I've tucked under so that I got that tension here between my ribs and my hips. Okay, so that's your rib hip connection in plank position. So I'm always trying to reactivate my transverse abdominal muscles here to keep my ribs and hips connected. So when you're doing things like dead bugs, you don't want to flare your ribs. I'm always pushing down with my ribs and hips. I'm not necessarily trying to flatten out my low back arch, although some people might feel that that low back arch disappears, but there's other people that have such a big arch that you're still going to be able to put your hand underneath your back. As long as you're pushing down with your ribs and hips to try to maintain tension in your front body, then you're good.